not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
The ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Well, that pretty much sounds like trash. If you want fans, if you want your league to grow, act like a professional, okay? The league already started underwater, and instead of fixing it, they're just poking more holes in the boat. And think about it, Brittney Griner talking all that trash. We traded the merchant of death for your ass, and you're out there talking.
Patrick Bet-David's co-host Vincent Oshana just totally crushed Brittney Griner over her racist attack on Caitlin Clark, and the response is going absolutely viral. PBD's team held nothing back about Gurrier's awful behavior, and the WNBA's total hypocrisy. This takedown is exactly what everyone was thinking but afraid to say openly. Should we have traded the merchant of death for someone who hurls racial slurs at America's biggest basketball star?
If you want fans, if you want your league to grow, act like a professional, okay? The league already started underwater, and instead of fixing it, they're just poking more holes in the boat. And think about it, Brittney Griner talking all that trash. We traded the merchant of death for your ass, and you're out there talking.
Vincent Oshana from the Patrick Bet-David podcast just delivered the verbal beatdown that Brittney Griner absolutely deserved. And honestly, it's about time someone with a platform had the courage to say what millions of Americans were thinking. The PBD crew didn't hold back when they discussed Gurrier's racist attack on Caitlin Clark, and their response is exactly the reality check this whole situation needed. Let me break down what happened here, because this is bigger than just an incident. This is about the complete moral bankruptcy of the WNBA and how they've created a toxic environment where targeting their own biggest star is not only tolerated but apparently encouraged. The whole mess started when Gurrier was recorded on camera after fouling out of a game against Clark's Indiana Fever, reportedly calling Clark garbage and a dirty white girl.
Ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Now, let's be crystal clear about something. If Clark had said anything even remotely similar about a black player, her career would be over faster than you could say cancel culture. She'd be suspended, fined, forced into sensitivity training, and probably have to issue 17 different apologies. But when Griner hurls racial slurs at Clark, complete silence from the league office. The double standard is so obvious, it's insulting to anyone with functioning brain cells.
With Brittney Griner, right? And then the other quote, Rob, then I'm going to wrap this up and then I'm going to go to Adam. Put the quote of Brittney Griner, what she said about the NBA. This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right? She says, this is from Brittney. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose.
This is where Vincent Oshana came in and stated what needed to be said during their podcast discussion. Oshana absolutely destroyed Gurrier's hypocrisy and the entire WNBA's backwards priorities. He pointed out the absolute lunacy of the situation. Here's a player who was essentially traded for a Russian arms dealer, known as the Merchant of Death, and she's out here making racist comments about the one player who's actually drawing attention to their irrelevant league.
Brittney Griner voiced frustration in a recent interview, claiming that Caitlin Clark is ruining what used to make the WNBA great. Wait for this.
Empty stands?
Tom, let me just...
Go ahead, I'm so mad.
WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. But now, it's like there's a large gathering of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score. Like we're...
Ona's takedown was surgical in its precision. He called out how Griner and players like Angel Reese walk around like the league owes them something despite being millionaires who should be grateful for the opportunities they have. The entitlement is absolutely staggering when you think about it. These players are making good money playing a sport they love, yet somehow they're victims because the most talented player in their league happens to be white.
I act like this.
Okay, Rob, can you verify that this is what she said on the mom and pop WNBA model? That she's sick of the and then she says, the whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly.
But the Patrick Bet-David team also highlighted something that most mainstream media won't touch: the full failure of Caitlin Clark's bending the knee strategy. Recall when Clark made those cringeworthy comments about white privilege and how she needed to elevate black women. Oshana and the PBD crew called that out as the moment we lost all respect for Clark, and they were absolutely right.
WNBA is never, ever, ever going to work and never make money. And this is exactly what Caitlin Clark gets for bending the knee. You guys remember when she said, when we lost all respect for her, when she said, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. And the more we can elevate black women, this is going to be a beautiful thing. That's when it was all over. And Angel Reese and Brittney Griner, they walk around like the league owes them something. Even Ryan Clark's attitude as if, bro, where's the victimhood? These are freaking millionaires. Like, what are you talking about? It's attitude, it's no humility, just entitlement, and that's not confidence.
Clark tried to play the politically correct game, thinking that if she just acknowledged her supposed privilege and said all the right things, she'd be accepted by her peers. Instead, it made her look weak and gave her critics even more ammunition to use against her players like Griner, and Reese saw that weakness and pounced on it, treating Clark's humility as an admission of guilt rather than an attempt at bridge building. The PBD analysis perfectly captured why the WNBA continues to be a financial disaster despite having the most marketable player in women's basketball history. Instead of protecting and promoting their golden goose, they've created an environment where attacking Clark is not only acceptable, but practically required if you want to fit in with the established players. Oshana's statement about the Merchant of Death trade was particularly heartbreaking since it highlights the sheer absurdity of the situation. Griner expresses her gratitude to the U.S. government for literally trading one of the most dangerous arms dealers in the world to free her from a Russian prison where she was detained on drug charges by making racist remarks about the player who is rescuing her league from total oblivion. These remarks are even more ludicrous given their timing. Clark is currently out for 2 weeks due to an injury, which means that WNBA viewership is about to plummet. The league will be harshly reminded of how reliant they are on Clark's star power, but rather than expressing gratitude for her contributions to the game, players like Griner are actively trying to push her away, according to the Patrick Bet. David's team also perfectly captured the hypocrisy of the WNBA's selective outrage, as the league promptly opened an investigation into claims of racist remarks made by fans about Angel Reese that no one actually heard and may not have even occurred. However, when there is unmistakable video proof of Griner making racist remarks about Clark radio silence, the message is obvious. Racism only becomes harmful when it takes one direction. This double standard goes beyond the Griner incident. Over Clark's career, she has experienced an unparalleled degree of verbal and physical abuse from rivals, including having her eye prodded by Da. Despite being the target of numerous dirty plays and receiving frequent criticism for her popularity, Jane Carrington and her coach were ordered to be quiet and endure it whenever they had any complaints about the officiating or treatment. The PBD crew's prediction that the WNBA would fail proved accurate. When your largest attraction is intentionally targeted and resented by your established stars, it is impossible to create a successful entertainment product. This is corporate suicide masquerading as social justice. The league has persuaded itself that backing Clark somehow devalues other players, when in actuality, everyone benefits from her success. Toshana made a particularly wise observation regarding attitude and entitlement. Successful leagues are aware that their role is to provide fans with entertainment and engaging plots. The WNBA appears to believe that their role is to educate fans about social concerns while offering subpar basketball, which lacks confidence. Without the performance to support it, that is arrogance. When contrasted with other professional leagues, damning NBA players may occasionally argue or complain about calls, but they don't target their league's top players on a regular basis because they know that good things come to those who ask for them. LeBron James doesn't waste his time trying to discredit Stephen Curry because he understands that his success benefits the league as a whole. However, in the WNBA, there is a toxic culture where success is seen as a zero-sum game, meaning that if Clark is successful in any way, other players are being devalued. This is a narrow-minded approach that exposes how unprofessional and immature many of these players truly are, but they would rather discredit the one person bringing attention to their sport than figure out how to profit from that attention. The PBD team's prediction regarding attendance during Clark's injury absence will turn out to be accurate. Ticket prices for the games she misses have already dropped significantly, and you can bet that TV ratings will plummet as well. The league is about to receive a harsh lesson in just how much they rely on the player, As some of their stars appear to detest what being sidelined makes Griner's remarks even more frustrating is the background of her own career. She has played in the league for more than 10 years and has essentially done nothing to advance women's basketball. During her whole career, the WNBA was losing money and playing in largely empty arenas. Yet she feels entitled to criticize the one player who has truly altered that dynamic: the bet on Patrick. David's analysis also emphasized how this incident exemplifies everything that is wrong with contemporary American culture. The victim of racism is chastised for not responding to it more effectively, while the offender is given a pass because she fits the right identity boxes. This is a total reversal of fundamental moral principles. Vince and too many people are scared to speak out blatant bigotry when it comes from particular groups, but the PBD crew wasn't having any of that bullshit. Oshana's comments that Griner was filthy for making racist remarks was precisely the kind of moral clarity this scenario required. Regardless of who commits or receives racism, racism is racism. The wider ramifications of this incident go well beyond basketball. It is a prime illustration of how identity politics have tainted everything it comes into contact with. Rather than honoring success and excellence, we are expected to take into account factors like race and grievance when deciding who is deserving of support. Not being a bad guy or a bad athlete, but rather succeeding while white, is Clark's crime. Clark's attempts to placate her detractors by admitting her privilege and making politically correct remarks didn't gain her any respect. Instead, they made her a target. The PBD crew's point that Clark needed to stop bending over backwards was especially crucial. You can't reason with people who genuinely dislike your success and existence. The WNBA has never been profitable and loses tens of millions of dollars annually. When they finally find a player who can generate interest and revenue, they allow her to be attacked and marginalized instead of safeguarding that investment. This is business malpractice on a scale that would result in executives being fired in any other industry. This is the unquestionable economic reality that Patrick Bet-David's team brought to light. It was particularly shrewd of Oshana to note that players like Griner and Ree behave as though the league owes them something. They seem to believe that they should be successful and well-known just for existing, rather than for their performance and marketability. Professional sports don't operate that way, or at least they don't operate successfully. The WNBA couldn't have timed Griner's racist outburst worse. Just when Clark was beginning to gain traction in her second season and garner previously unheard of attention to the league, one of their more seasoned players chose to use racial epithets against her. It's like the league is purposefully trying to ruin its own success. What's particularly telling about the whole situation is how it demonstrates the WNBA's complete lack of leadership. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has been noticeably silent about Griner's comments, even while the league is eager to look into unsupported allegations of fan conduct. Their priorities are entirely out of order. They care more about maintaining their narrative than safeguarding their best player. The underlying conflict at the core of the WNBA's present strategy was revealed by the Patrick Bet-David team's investigation. They want the increased income and attention that Clark provides, but they also want to preserve the victim narrative that has become essential to the league's identity. They want the advantages of Clark's popularity and marketability, but they don't really want to defend or assist her. Oshana made an especially harsh but realistic comparison between Griner's career and Clark's influence. For years, Griner has been a part of the league without drawing much attention or increasing its earnings. Even though Clark has only been playing professionally for a little more than a year and has already completely changed the women's basketball scene, Griner somehow feels entitled to disparage someone who has done more for their sport than she has. The PBD crew further emphasized how embarrassing this issue is on a global scale. This player, who was released following a well-publicized prisoner exchange with Russia, is using her freedom to disparage her own teammates' sport in a racist manner. This is not only unappreciative, it is a slap in the face to all those who fought to get her released. In the end, Vincent Oshana and the PBD team expressed what millions of Americans were considering but were hesitant to express in public. The WNBA's inaction regarding Brittney Griner's vile and unforgivable racist attack on Caitlin Clark tells you everything you need to know about their priorities. Vincent Oshana and the Patrick Bet-David team completely destroyed Brittney Griner and revealed the WNBA's racist double standards for everyone to see. This takedown was long overdue and absolutely necessary. What are your thoughts on PBD's crew finally expressing what everyone was thinking? They care more about upholding their woke credentials than protecting their most valuable asset, which is exactly why they will continue to lose money while driving away the fans they sorely need. For more truthful content, leave a comment below, hit the like button, and subscribe.